Right, so here we are, episode three, and we're going to talk today just about some UX designs on the new app, on the wellness app. So I'm going to
Yep.
start sharing, and we're going to jump in and talk about the designs and everything that went into making the designs.
Yeah, you've been busy. A lot of work went into like sort of getting that initial
Yeah,
concept out onto something that other people can start now giving feedback.
yeah, I think that's it. It's like concepts are fine, but people want something to view. When you talk about it, they want to see something. So,
Yeah.
um, we're obviously going to have some type of landing page. I haven't put too much thought into it, except that at this point in time, I'm thinking of a couple of basic features, but I want to jump in straight into adding what I call in a journal entry.
Right. So
So,
like basically from the landing, you want to be able to do quickly into
yeah,
what is my tasks? Yeah.
the whole idea is 2 minutes is what I'm setting myself out as. I want to be able to capture like how I'm feeling, some food, medicines, my breakfast or a meal, anything else in 2 minutes. That's it.
Right.
I want it to be tap, 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 done. So I looked at a lot of these things and a lot of them about, stars. I thought of stars. I'm playing with an app that's got a like scroll bar thing, and it's just a pain because it's an extra
Yep.
click every time. It's like I select that, then I have to type, then I have to slide, then I have to sick. Okay, and I was like, that's way too many taps. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I went
Yep.
with the idea of color coded buttons. So I can come in. These are all the let me just actually put a note in here while we're talking. The the categories are customized per user. So
Yeah.
those are all customized per user.
Nice.
Um, we'll probably have a bunch of standardized ones as well, but so come in, I've already configured what I want to track, and I can just go 1, 5, 4, 3, 2, 6, bang.
Yep.
That's what I want. The one thing that I struggling with that I still think needs work is if you want to track like pain, a 5 is bad. But if you're tracking your energy level, a 5 is good.
Right.
And so I
Right.
don't know quite how we're going to do that, both on a data point of view, um, and that we're consistent, and from a UX point of view. You can see productivity home here. I've tried a different color scale. I mean, that's one thing I'm thinking about, whether each category, as you set it up, you can set each category's color scale. I mean, that
Hmm.
might be a way of doing it that a 1 is actually energy level because of the color scale comes through as as like great, or I don't know. So that needs work. I'm not happy with that. And then after consulting with someone else, you
Hmm.
know we talk about sleep. Well, you can have a good night's sleep of 5 hours and a lousy night's sleep of 7 hours.
Right. So
So,
the subjective experience of the sleep is more important than the maybe the
well, I
hours.
think we need to track both.
Right. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So there might be other things in this body where we want to track an intrinsic value besides just um, a kind of, I feel it's at a pain level of 4, or, my mood is good or whatever. So
Yep.
I'm leaving that opportunity in there for sleep. So that's what that is. Then you can hit done. I mean, that's it. If you're just like, I've suddenly got a headache, let me track it, go in, headache, 5, done.
Hmm.
That's the journal entry. That's just that one thing. That's fine. Um,
Hmm.
Otherwise, if you like tracking breakfast or supper or whatever, you click next. You do your food barcode, snap, snap, search. I want to do groups where you can, if you say every morning we have egg and bacon and yogurt and whatever, you can just like
Right.
do morning breakfast 1, tap.
Right. Yeah, no, that makes sense because I've also I have a couple default breakfasts or lunches that would make sense.
And I take the same supplements every single day. So I would like to group them in a group and just find that group and that. So then once you've done your food, you do your supplements. With the tab bar, obviously you can jump.
Hmm.
It isn't a
Not
wizard.
linear.
It's
Yeah.
your environment, pollution, pollen, stress. Um, you know, although you might be feeling good and not have a high, you know, your mood is good, you are still in a high stress environment.
Sure.
You
Yeah.
know, you could be, and I'm just trying to think, let's just say you were in a traffic jam, or and you got caught behind an accident and there was lots of people and it was a stressful environment.
Right.
Although it didn't freak you out, you still want to record that situation. So
Hmm.
that's that. Vitals, heart rate, blood pressure, weight, all of that stuff. Um, Activities. This is things like, yes, we got sports activities, but also we want to put in breathing sessions, yoga sessions, meditation sessions, therapy sessions, any of those type of activities that you may or may
Hmm.
not do, whether you had a massage, whether did
And
things
do you
like
see it?
that.
I'm wondering just also for the supplements, do you see it working on two levels where you've got the one where, yes, I'm going to sit down and record that I just took my supplements, or I'm going to sit down and record that I just went to the gym? Or is it also possible to put a plan of when you need to take the supplements and then it gives you a notification or some sort of reminder that then when you fill it out, it checks it as done? I'm just
Yeah,
one,
I
it
think,
might be a future phase,
yeah. No, I definitely feel there is a need. My mom has to take medicines every 2 hours. At the
right?
moment,
Right.
she has a set of timers up on her phone, but then she forgets to take them. And, we as a family have no way of knowing. So I really think a medicine timer there are apps out there, but I think, yes, that is one of the things I've thought of, is to have a medicine
I
timer
like,
that
yeah.
it will go off at the prescribed time. You mark it that you've taken the pills. That then generates a journal entry.
Yeah, it's almost like now that would be the second tier. Once you've built this
Yep,
pipeline to enter all the things, and you can add on that from a
yep,
development point of view. That's not a first line feature, but yeah, I get it.
yep.
That's cool.
And then just notes, general notes like did this today or that. Or I also thought notes would be good for things. I want to, let's say you go in gluten free for 6 weeks. You can say
Yeah.
start a gluten week trial. Then you don't ever have to say, oh, when did we start that? Or you've got a
Mhm.
definitive thing in your timeline that says, I started it on this day.
Yeah.
And, you can go back and start to track things from that date and see how you were doing and how your numbers did.
Yep.
Um, it actually reminds me, I didn't think of it until now, but at one stage I was going under certain therapy, and literally the only way the doctor knew how I was doing was by an Excel sheet that had a whole lot of KPIs in it that I filled out for her each week. How much
Oh,
better?
okay.
How much better would this have been?
Yes, exactly.
I must actually
Very,
get a hold of that doctor. There,
yeah,
I must remember.
and
That's an
that is
interesting
quite
thing.
yeah, it's a great idea because that is quite a normal part of the core medical process is sort of take these diagnostics and some of it, yes, they can get, some of it is complicated, like Brain has to go get blood every 6 weeks or something. But you're
Yeah,
right. For a lot of hers with the doctor is now, how does it feel? It's a subjective description of it. And yeah,
yeah,
so I agree with you that
um,
that would be helpful to be able to automate that and streamline it. The
yeah,
doctors would probably appreciate more information.
yeah. And then this is okay. So now once you filled it all out, after a while, you can then. I'm thinking of two different analysis. Um, so I'm going to go down to summary analysis down here first. You then get a breakdown or a summary, no, an aggregation of your week or whatever period you select. So you can see over the week, you've got a high knee pain. And then you can go click on that 17, takes you to a detailed analysis for that in observation. And you can see, okay, Monday, it was sore on Monday morning. Well, what the heck did I do on Sunday? And then it kind of tapered off. By Saturday, it was good, so then you can look back and say, okay, we went hiking on Sunday, or, did this or did that. And the next day, bang. Or maybe it's simple of, oh, well, I actually ate a certain amount of food or whatever it was. So that's the one path to go, from summary to kind of the detailed and then down to the timeline. Because then you can scroll back and go, okay, what happened the day before? Right. What was, so that to me is important.
I really like that detailed view in the middle there. I mean, I like them all, but that detailed view in the middle is just, I'm seeing the potential of, as you scroll through, because of the color and the way you've kind of encoded the experience with the color, you will be able to possibly see very fluid trends where things might go bad to worse, or all of a sudden, you'll be able to say, why? Okay, everything was good for a long time, and then boom, right? So I like the visualness, the way that it's encoding the information. Very clever.
And once I went with the numbered buttons, I realized actually having an aggregation is better than having a chart at that point. Because I tried various ideas with bars and things, and eventually I went, you know what? Just aggregate the number. Then it was a bad week for your back pain, or it was a bad week for your migraines.
That's right.
And then you can, was it a single bad day, or was it a week of level 3, or was it one day of level 5 that and you can get all of that out.
And that's a very simple tracking it. I like it mathematically.
And it'll be very easy to implement as well. From a programming point of view, it's very easy to aggregate. Then the other side is the inverse of that, is to say, well, I was in a high pollen area for the weekend. We went away and I didn't realize in the cabin we booked happened to be in the middle of pine trees with all the pollen. And then you can come down and go, well, how did that affect me? Did it even affect me? I went out for a dinner and I had, I felt obliged to eat something that I really knew I really shouldn't. But did it affect me? Did it actually have an impact? Is it that bad for me?
Right.
Or, so there's those kind of things, the inverse of when the things around me change, are they actually impacting the way I always thought they impacted me? Or is there just not a correlation at all? And then, vital signs and all of the things that are here, again, we'll scroll up and down and pick those up. And then, go for it.
No, I was just going to say, I'm just thinking that there's a clever sort of app data sharing system on Android where if you create in your app like sort of an interface, this is the kind of data structure I expect, then on this operating system level, even from apps like Google Fit or something like that, you can interface from that and it'll then send it to your app. And so it might be a way of getting some of that metrics, without having to build a reader of a watch sensor. You might be able to just pull it from the existing watch data on the phone.
I mean, I was thinking more of going to hit, with my Garmin, and I've had Garmin and Wahoo at the moment. I use a Wahoo. I was thinking of just at some point being able to put in Wahoo credentials or Strava credentials and pull it through from the API level.
Yeah, no, that's the same idea. You've just matured the thinking of it. But that's exactly what I'm thinking. It's like you don't have to develop all of that input. You can just get their input to interface. Yeah, cool.
And then, so I mean, the big thing around this is around the AI that because that's, I mean, that trending is great, but wouldn't it
Yep.
be amazing if it said to you, you know, once you've entered in, it's like, this is your fourth day of a number 4 on headaches, or a fourth day on back pain, or, you know, we're noticing kind of that you're going from to 2s to 3s. Are you aware kind of that, you know, this trend is happening, or you had a 5, a headache, migraine now, and so let's, you know, automatically let's look back, pick up all the other 5 migraines over the last however long you've been, and then let's try and see if there's a correlation of things that have happened, you know, similar things, like did you eat the same foods, were you in the same environments, did you do the same sports, did you, you
Yeah.
know, so that's kind of where I really want to go with this. That's the meat to me. And that to me is the AI analysis. That's going to take some time for us to fine tune, but
Sure.
that's what I'm hoping to achieve and looking for trends. And then also just, I think, a custom, you know, chatbot type thing, you know, show me when last I was at a number 5, or, you know, how bad has this been? You know, some way of people are interacting with their data to find out for themselves, you know, how long
Yeah.
ago did they have a migraine? Instead of scroll, 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 scroll. It's like, when last did I have a migraine? You
Yeah.
know?
Yes. Like a powerful tool for self-care, to raise your awareness, right?
Yep, yep,
Um,
yep.
it just occurred to me, and this is, I know we'll probably go much deeper, and there's so many different ways of slicing it technically, right? But I'm just thinking
Yep.
already that the way you've done this with the numbers and the simple aggregation, it lends itself to say you could almost train a specific machine learning model. I mean, it wouldn't have to be very
Yep.
sophisticated for each person, right? And then have the language model just be the interface to interpret that data, right? So, once you've got, let's say, a couple months worth of data, then you could actually already have a non API AI that you can start
Yep.
individual training. So that's something to consider. And then the language model becomes like sort of the super expert over the data.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's what I've been playing with at the moment, and we can talk more about that, I think, next time. But yeah, that's kind of the next layer. Um,
Awesome.
then, so from there, I started looking at some of the data structures and, okay, what would it take to get this into a database?
Mm-hmm.
And at this point, I'm thinking going SQL, well, a relational database,
Mm-hmm.
probably Postgres, um,
Yep.
because as I discovered yesterday, you can get a vector database that'll run side by side to your Postgres, which basically means that you can vectorize in the same place, and you know you've got one place. So that needs a whole lot of investigation. But body observation, simple, you know, observation, entry ID, date, zoom that in, category name. So category would be um, pain, and then name would be like knee, or category, you know, and then
Yeah.
user, obviously, additional value would be sleep hours, and value would be like the 1 to 4, 1 to
Okay.
5. This I thought of food entry and entry item, and still I started playing with the actual structure, and I'm not 100% convinced whether that needs to be 2 levels or it just needs to be 1. Um, but I think it does need to be, because if you look at a plate of food as a single entry, you know, on there you could have chicken, and you could have rice, and you could
Yeah.
have your
To break down.
vegetables. Yeah, so I do
Yeah.
think we want that as, I'm not too sure, when we model it in the AI, we might split it as each as an individual so that you could query each item individually.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah, I think
think
that would be
that's,
helpful for people who have intolerances and things like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, then the same, I think the medicine's got the same structure as the food, because you're often taking, you know, as a group, or it might be, I think, environments the same as the body observations. Vitals, I think, are specifics. In other words, you got a heart rate, your blood pressure, systolic, diastolic, temperature, weight, oxygen saturation, whatever else we want to
Right.
add. Activity, I did the same way. I split it. And then your notes, just a simple string. I mean, so it's not a very complicated, well, at this level.
Right.
We still need to add the whole configuration layer on where somebody goes in and defines their body observations, defines their food groups, defines their medicine groups, defines the, the environments and things like that. So, that's a layer that I'm going to build now.
One of the thoughts on medicine entry I had when you have entry date, but also possibly refill date might be a good reminder to when you're filling it out. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Cool. But yeah, I mean, I like it. I mean, it already has some meat to it. I can see already that, if we were to track these, it already brings so much clarity into.
I mean, yeah, I think we could definitely go out and do alpha with this as it is now. And then the AI layer can come on top of that. So
I like that. Yeah, this would be useful for Braden now because her doctors are saying, keep this journal anyway. So, before it even gets to the analysis, just the practice of keeping the journal is so valuable.
Yeah. So you said you've got some stuff to show. You got a logo and things like that.
Speaking of AI, I'll just talk through a couple logo designs. I got 9 different variations here that all basically, a couple different variations of prompts and a couple different tools. So there's this thing in ChatGPT called Logo Maker, which this is what this one came from. So the things I used in the prompt were like health journey, app, journaling, growth. So this was a decent start, but it got better than that.
It's quite nice, but yes.
Yeah, I liked it. Actually, this one made about 3 or 4 variations, but I didn't like them as much as that one. Then I moved over just purely to DALL-E, which is the not like it's still ChatGPT, but it's not wrapped in any logo making. So then I just described it, and it gave me an idea off of this one. What if the pen was writing the vital signs? So then I went through a couple variations where I tried to get the pen to sort of write vital signs. Then this is the last one that sort of all the DALL-E ones. This is I think the most well-formed one. And then I took this into, you can see this is not as high def, but I took this to a third AI called Stable Diffusion. And at this point now I'm actually saying writing pen that's drawing a vital sign, right? Because I like the idea at this point. And then that one, and then this was the best I got of that one. It's not actually writing the vital sign, but I like the chart kind of vibe in the back.
Yeah.
And then this was this other AI I just tried out just once, and that was sort of
that's quite cool.
Yeah, I like this one too. It keyed off the journal. It's simple, right? And it keyed off the journal idea. In my mind, the app is like, what I like about this one is that it could be anything inside of there, right?
Yeah, I mean, I like this.
What I just like about this is you're not writing in the app, right? The pen was a metaphor, but it broke down in my mind because you're not writing in the app, right? So this one sort of
says journal, says health journal, but just looking at it, you get the health journal. And this one would be easy to take into an SVG editor and recreate fairly as SVGs. And I think it'll also scale nicely to, logos, especially on a phone. You'll be able to get it to scale properly if you got it as an SVG.
Yeah. Those are my thoughts. Yeah.
I really like it. It's got, heart kind of stuff on it, and
it came together. And so this is interesting. I didn't even go beyond that because I also agreed it checks the boxes. The other ones were just getting a little bit too visual for what we're trying to do. This boiled it down and made it like an icon feel. So I'm with you. So I also agreed that we use this as a starting place. Now we can use the ideas set. We can now tweak it and put it into other formats and change the color if we want, whatever. And
Yeah.
then now we've replaced the graphic designer.
Yeah, well, if you send me this one, I've got a SVG tool that I'll be
Awesome.
able to get this into a logo, and then we
Yes.
can take it from there and add. And then I suppose now comes the big question on top of all of this: what are we calling this thing? I mean, I've started with my body journey, but
Yeah.
I'm kind of, is this, it's to help you on your journey, but it really is a journal.
Right.
And so I don't know where we want to go. Do we want a fancy name? Do we want to just like a simple name that,
I think let's sit on the name for now. I in my mind and in these prompting, I've been saying my health journey. Um, but I think I think you're right. We might be able to come up with something clever that sort of, you have that ability to sort of fuse words together too. And I think fabrics and all of that you've worked on, has been
yeah,
good. So I think it needs something a little bit not completely abstract, but I think it needs something more than just the functional my health journey. I think that's
yeah,
a
I
good.
think so. If that'll be so difficult to market, to get out
Hmm.
there, to,
Yeah, just to
I
put a
think
handle.
in the
Yeah.
in the marketing, we can talk about, health journeys and
Yes.
journaling and,
Yes.
kind of being body aware and all of those good things as
Hmm.
as part of our marketing. But I think in terms of the actual app, I think it needs a bit more of a concise name that
Yeah.
is
But you're
different,
right. We can't camp on it forever because we need to build a website and start
Yeah,
to
yeah,
market.
yeah, yeah. And
So I'm with you.
we need to find a domain, make
Yeah.
sure that the domain is available and things like that. So let me sleep on that, and by the time we
I'll send you
regroup,
this logo too. Yeah.
yeah, I think that'll be great. I can jump into that and get some of that going, and then have a discussion about names, and maybe look at some Latin and Greek and all these fancy
Yeah.
languages that I know nothing
That's
about.
good. It sounds like we'll have on the next episode, we can talk about a name or pick a name.
Yeah, and I
Cool.
think that's where we are at the moment in the process. And yeah, the next is, I think, a bit of prototyping on the Postgres side and into the back of Node, and then putting up some UX. And I might
Nice.
also start looking at UX from a PC, full size screen PC point of view to entry, especially on
Yeah.
the analysis side. Because at the moment I focus mainly on the mobile, but I do want to put on how that would look. And also think with me about the upside down, the energy versus paying scale.
Yes, I am thinking on that. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And because that's what I struggled with. And I think colors are the solution, but I'm not too sure yet.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
I will crack it. Awesome. Well, it's been good to chat with you, Anton. I look
Yeah,
forward to the
it's
next
great.
episode.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Okay. Cheers.